The rain was cold on New Busan. It always was. Kang Do-hyun stood outside the factory gates with a small box in his hands. Inside the box were his work boots, a coffee cup with his daughter's drawing on it, and a photo of his late wife. After 7 years of loyal service, this was all he had to show for it. "Sorry, Do-hyun," the manager had said. "The company is cutting costs. You understand." Do-hyun understood. He understood that the robots were cheaper. He understood that humans like him were becoming useless in the colony. He understood that he had 2 daughters waiting at home, and now he had no way to feed them. He walked through the wet streets of the colony. New Busan was supposed to be humanity's great hope, a new world far from Earth where people could start fresh. But for workers like Do-hyun, it was just another place to struggle. The tall buildings blocked the gray sky. Holographic advertisements promised better lives, better jobs, better everything. Do-hyun ignored them all. His apartment was small. 2 rooms and a kitchen barely big enough to turn around in. But when he opened the door, it felt like the warmest place in the universe. "Appa!" screamed Nari, his 8-year-old daughter. She ran and jumped into his arms. Her smile was so bright that it hurt his heart. "Appa is home early," said little Bomi, who was only 5. She waddled over and hugged his leg. Do-hyun forced a smile. He could not tell them. Not yet. He put down his box and picked up both girls, one in each arm. They were getting heavy. Nari was growing so fast. "Where is Grandma?" he asked. "In the kitchen," Nari said. "She is making soup. But she said we don't have many vegetables left." Do-hyun's mother came out of the kitchen. She was old and tired, but her eyes were still sharp. She looked at the box in his hands. She looked at his face. She understood immediately. "Girls," she said softly, "go wash your hands for dinner." "But I want to stay with Appa," Bomi complained. "Now," Grandma said firmly. The girls ran off to the bathroom. Do-hyun sat down at the small table and put his head in his hands. "How bad?" his mother asked. "No severance pay. No benefits. Nothing." His voice was hollow. "I have enough saved for maybe 2 weeks of rent. After that..." He could not finish the sentence. His mother sat across from him. She did not offer empty comfort. She never did. "What will you do?" "I don't know. There are no factory jobs. The fishing boats are all automated now. I could try the service sector, but they want young people with pretty faces." He laughed bitterly. "I am 34 years old, and already too old." That night, Do-hyun stayed awake while his daughters slept beside him. They shared one bed because it was warmer that way, and because the apartment only had 1 bedroom. He watched their peaceful faces in the dim light. Nari looked so much like her mother. It made his chest tight. His wife had died 3 years ago from a sickness that the colony doctors said was rare but untreatable. Do-hyun had spent all his savings trying to save her. It was not enough. It was never enough. Now he was failing again, failing his daughters, failing his mother, failing his wife's memory. The next morning, Do-hyun went to the job center. The line was long. Hundreds of people waited for the few positions available. He stood for 6 hours. When he reached the front, the worker barely looked at him. "No openings for your qualifications," she said. "I can learn. I can do anything." "Everyone says that." Next, he tried the docks. He tried the warehouses. He tried the restaurants. Everywhere, the answer was the same. No work. No hope. On the 4th day, his credit account showed a warning. Insufficient funds for rent payment. Do-hyun sat in a cheap noodle shop, nursing a single cup of water. He could not afford to eat there. He was just using their free network to search for jobs. That was when he saw the posting. Cargo pilot needed. Immediate start. Payment. 5,000 credits. Destination. Frontier zone. Ship provided. The frontier zone. Everyone knew what that meant. It was the lawless space beyond the colony territories. Pirates lived there. Criminals hid there. People who went to the frontier zone often did not come back. But 5,000 credits would pay his rent for 5 months. It would buy food for his daughters. It would give him time to find real work. Do-hyun's hand shook as he pressed the apply button. The meeting was in a dark warehouse near the spaceport. A fat man with gold teeth smiled at him. "You the pilot?" "I have a Class C license," Do-hyun said. "Small cargo vessels. Good enough. The job is simple. Take this crate to coordinates I give you. Drop it off. Come back. Easy money." "What's in the crate?" The fat man's smile grew wider. "You don't want to know. And I don't want to tell. That's how this works. You interested? Or not?" Do-hyun thought of Nari's smile. He thought of Bomi's laugh. He thought of his mother's tired eyes. "I'm interested." The ship was old. Very old. Do-hyun checked the systems 3 times before taking off. The engine made strange sounds. The navigation computer was a model from 20 years ago. The life support system showed yellow warnings in several places. But it flew. That was enough. He recorded a video message before leaving orbit. "Nari, Bomi. Appa has to go on a short trip for work. I will be back in 1 week. Be good for Grandma. Eat all your vegetables. I love you both more than all the stars in the sky." He sent the message. Then he entered the coordinates and jumped into faster-than-light travel. The frontier zone was dark. Few ships traveled here. No stations lit up the void. Do-hyun followed his course carefully, checking every sensor for signs of pirates. He was 2 days into the journey when the engine failed. The sound was horrible, a grinding, screaming noise that made the whole ship shake. Red warnings filled every screen. Do-hyun grabbed the controls and tried to steer toward the nearest gravity well. If he could land somewhere, anywhere, maybe he could fix it. There, a frozen moon orbiting a gas giant. It had a thin atmosphere, not breathable, but enough to slow his descent. The crash was violent. Do-hyun hit his head on the console. Blood ran down his face. But he was alive. When he checked the damage, his heart sank. The engine was completely destroyed. The communication array was smashed. The distress beacon had power for maybe 6 hours of signal, and his life support had 3 days of oxygen left. Do-hyun sat in the cold cockpit of his broken ship, watching his breath form clouds in the freezing air. Outside, the frozen moon stretched in all directions, white ice and gray rock under a sky filled with stars. He was going to die here. Alone. His daughters would grow up without a father. His mother would have to raise them somehow. And they would never know how hard he tried. "I'm sorry," he whispered to no one. "I'm so sorry." He did not know that something was watching him from the ice. Something with silver fur and golden eyes. Something that had never seen a human before. And something that was very, very curious. Princess Yura of the Silverfang Empire was angry. She had been angry for 3 days now. Ever since her shuttle landed on this frozen wasteland of a moon. The coming hunt was supposed to be a great honor. Every royal child of the Silverfang had to complete it before their 25th cycle. They would be dropped alone on a wild world with only a blade and their wits. They had to survive for 30 days. No help, no contact, no mercy. Yura had trained her whole life for this. She was the finest warrior of her generation. Her silver fur was thick and beautiful. Her golden eyes could see in perfect darkness. Her claws could cut through steel. She was strong, fast, and deadly. But she was also bored. This moon had nothing worth hunting. The ice crawlers were slow and stupid. The snowbirds were too small to be satisfying. She had hoped for great beasts to fight, for real challenges to overcome. Instead, she spent her days walking across endless ice, looking for anything interesting. That was when she saw the fire in the sky. Something was falling, something large and metal. A ship. Yura watched it crash in the distance. A column of smoke rose from the impact site. Her ears perked up with interest. Ships meant people. People meant danger. Or entertainment. Sometimes both. She ran toward the crash site. Her powerful legs carried her across the ice faster than any vehicle. The cold did not bother her. Silverfang were built for harsh environments. Within an hour, she reached the wreckage. It was a small cargo vessel. Human design, she realized. She had studied the different species of the galaxy during her education. Humans were weak creatures. No claws, no fangs, no fur. They had soft skin that tore easily, and bodies that broke under pressure. The Silverfang Empire had encountered them a few times in border territories. They were not worth conquering, too fragile to be good slaves, too poor to be worth trading with. Why was a human ship here, in the middle of nowhere? Yura circled the crashed vessel carefully. She could smell blood thin, iron-rich human blood. So the pilot was injured, probably dying. She could simply leave and let nature take its course, but curiosity was a powerful force. Yura had never seen a human up close before. Her tutors had shown her pictures and videos, but that was not the same. She wanted to see one in person, even if it was just to watch it die. She found a spot behind a ridge of ice where she could observe without being seen. Then she waited. The human emerged after several hours. Yura's eyes widened with interest. It was a male, she decided. He was tall for a human, almost as tall as her, but thin and weak-looking. His skin was a light brown color, darker than the snow around him. Black hair sat messily on his head. He wore a thick jacket and boots, but he was clearly cold. His body shook constantly. The human walked around his ship slowly, examining the damage. Sometimes he would stop and put his hands on his knees, breathing hard. The thin atmosphere was hurting him, Yura realized. Humans needed more oxygen than this moon provided. He should give up, she thought. He should accept his death with dignity. That is what a Silverfang would do, but the human did not give up. Instead, he went back into his ship and came out with tools. He began working on the engine, even though his hands shook from the cold. He dropped tools. He made mistakes. He cut himself on sharp metal edges. But he kept working. Yura watched for hours, then days. The human barely slept. Every hour, he was either working on his ship, or melting ice for water, or trying to fix his communication equipment. He talked to himself sometimes, words Yura could not understand but could hear through the thin air. Sometimes he would stop and look at something small in his hand. A picture, Yura realized. He would stare at it with an expression she did not recognize. Then he would put it away and return to work. On the second day, Yura saw him crying. It was a strange sight. Water leaked from his eyes and froze on his cheeks, almost immediately. His shoulders shook. He made sounds that were somewhere between breathing and choking, but even while crying, he did not stop working. Why? Yura wondered. What was the point? His ship was clearly beyond repair. His communication equipment was destroyed. No help was coming. He had to know this. Any intelligent creature would know this. Yet he kept trying. It was the stupidest thing Yura had ever seen. It was also, somehow, the most impressive. On the third day, disaster struck. Yura heard the sound before she saw the creature, a deep rumbling from beneath the ice. She knew that sound. Ice serpent. One of the few truly dangerous animals on this moon. They were massive creatures that lived in tunnels under the frozen surface. They were blind but could sense vibrations. The human's constant movement must have attracted one. The ice cracked. A huge head burst from the ground, a serpent as thick as a tree trunk, with scales like blue armor and fangs dripping with venom. One bite from those fangs could kill a Silverfang in minutes. A human would die in seconds. The human screamed and fell backward. The serpent rose higher, preparing to strike. Yura should have stayed hidden. The smart thing to do was let the serpent kill the human, then kill the serpent while it was distracted. Free meat for days. A logical choice. But something made her hesitate. She wanted to see what the human would do. The human did something unexpected. Instead of running, he grabbed a piece of metal from his ship, a broken support beam with a sharp end. He held it like a weapon and stood his ground. "Come on then," he shouted, his voice cracking. "Come on." The serpent struck. Its massive head shot forward like a missile. The human did not dodge. He could not, his weak body was too slow. Instead, he stepped forward and shoved the metal beam directly into the serpent's open mouth. The beam went through the soft tissue at the back of the serpent's throat and into its brain. The creature thrashed wildly. Its tail whipped around and caught the human, throwing him 20 feet through the air. He landed hard on the ice and did not move, but the serpent died. It collapsed with a sound like thunder, its massive body creating cracks in the ice all around it. Yura stared in disbelief. The human had killed an ice serpent. A weak, soft, dying human, with no claws and no fangs, had killed one of the most dangerous predators on this moon. He had done it not with strength or speed, but with pure, desperate courage. She approached slowly. The human was unconscious, bleeding from a wound on his head. His breathing was shallow and weak. The serpent's tail had broken some of his ribs, she guessed. Without medical attention, he would die within hours. Yura stood over him, looking down at his peaceful face. He was not handsome by Silverfang standards, no fur, flat face, strange round ears. But there was something in his features that interested her. A softness that seemed wrong on someone who had just done something so brave. She should leave him to die. The coming hunt had strict rules. She was not supposed to interact with other intelligent species. She was certainly not supposed to help them. But Yura had never been good at following rules. She reached into her survival pack and pulled out a medical injector. It was designed for Silverfang biology, but the basic healing agents should work on any carbon-based life form. She pressed it against the human's neck and triggered it. The human gasped and opened his eyes. For a moment, he stared up at her with an expression of complete shock. "What?" he started. Yura put a clawed finger to her lips. "Sleep," she said in broken human common. "We talk later." All. The human's eyes rolled back, and he fell unconscious again. The medicine was working. His breathing grew stronger. Yura picked him up easily. He weighed almost nothing compared to a Silverfang, and carried him toward a cave she had found earlier. It would shelter them from the wind. She did not know why she was doing this. It made no sense. He was just a weak human, worthless by any measure. But he had fought the serpent instead of running. He had faced death with a weapon in his hand instead of on his knees. That deserved respect, even from a princess of the Silverfang. She would learn his story. Then she would decide what to do with him. Do-hyun woke up warm. That was strange. He should be dead by now. He opened his eyes slowly. He was in a cave. A small fire burned nearby, filling the space with orange light. His jacket was off, and something sticky covered his chest medicine. Maybe. His ribs ached but did not scream with pain anymore. Then he saw her. She sat across the fire, watching him with golden eyes that glowed in the darkness. She was covered in silver fur that looked soft and thick. Her face was somewhere between human and wolf, a long snout with sharp teeth, pointed ears, strong jaw. She was tall, taller than him, with a powerful body built for hunting. She wore simple leather clothing and had a curved blade at her waist. She was the most terrifying and beautiful thing Do-hyun had ever seen. "You are awake," she said. Her human common was rough but understandable. Do-hyun tried to sit up and groaned in pain. "Do not move too much," the alien said. "Your bones are still healing. Human bodies are very fragile." "Who are you?" Do-hyun asked. "What are you?" "I am Yura, Princess of the Silverfang Empire, third in line for the Frost Throne." She said this as if introducing herself at a party, not sitting in a cave on a frozen moon. "And you are a human who crashed on my hunting ground. You saved me," Do-hyun said, remembering bits and pieces. The serpent. The blow. A shadowy figure standing over him. "Yes. Why?" Yura tilted her head, considering the question. "You killed the ice serpent. That was impressive. Stupid, but impressive. I wanted to know what kind of creature would do such a thing." "I had no choice," Do-hyun said. "It was going to kill me anyway. At least this way I had a chance." Exactly," Yura said. She leaned forward, her golden eyes intense. "That is what interests me. You had no chance. Your body is weak. Your weapons are primitive. And you were already dying from the cold. A logical creature would have accepted death, but you fought anyway. Why?" Do-hyun thought about the question. Why had he fought? He remembered grabbing the metal beam, his hands shaking with cold and fear. He remembered thinking about his daughters. I have children, he said finally. 2 daughters. If I die here, they will be alone. I have to get back to them. Children. Yura repeated the word, like she was tasting it. You have cubs. Girls. Young girls. Nari is 8. Bomi is 5. He pulled out the small photo he always carried, wrinkled and water-damaged, but still clear enough. He showed it to Yura. She took the photo carefully in her clawed hand and studied it. 2 small humans with black hair and big smiles. They were hugging each other in front of some kind of celebration decoration. They are small, she observed. Yes. Their mother died 3 years ago. Now it is just me and my mother taking care of them. Do-hyun's voice cracked. I took this job because I had no money. I thought I could make it. I was wrong. What job? Cargo transport. Illegal. Probably. A man gave me a ship and coordinates. I was supposed to deliver a crate. The pay was enough to feed my family for months. Yura handed back the photo. And now you are dying on a frozen moon. Because you were poor. Yes. There was no point in pretending otherwise. Yura was quiet for a long time. The fire crackled between them. Outside the cave, wind howled across the ice. I have a proposition for you, she said finally. What kind of proposition? Marry me. Do-hyun stared at her. He was certain he had heard wrong. What? The Silverfang Empire has a tradition. When a royal child completes their coming hunt, they must choose a consort within 1 cycle, 1 of your years. I will complete my hunt in 20 more days. After that, many noble males will try to win my hand. They are all boring idiots who only want my throne. So you want to marry me? A human who has nothing to offer me politically, Yura said, nodding. A human from a species so weak that my family will see you as nothing but a pet. A human who will make my rivals confused and angry. She smiled, showing many sharp teeth. It is perfect. I don't understand. Yura sighed as if explaining something simple to a child. In Silverfang law, a royal consort has certain rights but limited power. If I marry a noble, he will try to control me through tradition and family alliances. If I marry you, no one can use you against me. You have no family in the empire. No allies. No power. You would be completely dependent on me. That sounds bad for me, Do-hyun said carefully. In exchange, I will pay you 100,000 imperial credits. At the current exchange rate, that is enough to make your human family wealthy for many years. Your daughters will never be hungry again. They will have the best education, the best medical care, the best everything. 100,000 credits. Do-hyun's mind went blank. That amount of money was impossible. More than he could earn in 10 lifetimes of honest work. His daughters could go to university. They could live in a good neighborhood. They could have everything he could never give them. What would I have to do? He asked quietly. Stay married to me for 1 cycle. Appear at official functions. Behave respectfully. Produce no heirs. We will not share a bed unless you wish it. After 1 cycle, we can dissolve the marriage quietly. You return to your human colonies with your money and your freedom. I continue my life without interference from noble idiots. That's all? Just pretend to be your husband for a year? Yes. Yura studied him with those golden eyes. It will not be easy. My court is dangerous. Many will hate you because you are human. Some may try to kill you, but I will protect you. And I will pay you well for the danger. Do-hyun thought about Nari learning to read. He thought about Bomi's laugh when she played with her toys. He thought about his mother's tired face. He thought about dying alone on this frozen moon, leaving them with nothing. How do I know you will keep your promise? He asked. Yura seemed surprised by the question. I am a princess of the Silverfang Empire. My word is law. Your word is not law on New Busan. Your word means nothing to me. I need something more. For a moment, Yura's eyes flashed with anger. No one spoke to her like this. But then, slowly, she smiled. You bargain with me. A dying human with broken ribs. Bargaining with a princess who holds his life in her claws. I like this. She reached into her pack and pulled out a device smooth metal with glowing symbols. This is a bonding contract. It is legally binding in the Empire and in all human territories. I will record my promise here. If I break it, you can claim my assets directly through galactic courts. And I can send a copy to my family? So they know where I am and what I am doing? Yes. Do-hyun took a deep breath. Every part of this felt insane. He was making a deal with an alien wolf princess he had just met. He was agreeing to marry her to enter a world of politics and danger he knew nothing about. But for his daughters, he would do anything. I agree, he said. I will marry you. Yura's smile grew wider. Excellent. Rest now. When you are healed, we will leave this moon. My hunting shuttle is hidden nearby. I will finish my hunt early. Killing that ice serpent together counts as a victory, according to the old laws. Together? You struck the killing blow. I witnessed it. That makes us hunting partners now. She tilted her head. Do not worry. I will explain Silverfang culture to you during the journey. It is very complicated. But you seem clever for a human. Thank you. Do-hyun said dryly. That is almost a compliment. Thank you. Yura laughed, a barking sound that echoed off the cave walls. I think I made a good choice, human. You have fire in you. That is rare in any species. She stood and walked toward the cave entrance. Sleep. Tomorrow, we begin your new life. Do-hyun lay back and stared at the cave ceiling. Somewhere out there, beyond the ice and the stars, his daughters were waiting for him. They did not know it yet, but their lives were about to change forever. He hoped he was making the right choice. He hoped he could survive whatever was waiting for him in the Silverfang Empire. But even if he could not survive, at least his daughters would be taken care of. That was enough. That had to be enough. He closed his eyes and dreamed of home. The imperial palace of the Silverfang was carved from a mountain of black stone. It rose above the capital city like a sleeping giant, with towers that touched the clouds and walls that had stood for 1,000 years. Flags of silver and blue flew from every peak. Guards in polished armor watched from every gate. Do-hyun had never felt so small in his life. The shuttle had landed in a private port inside the palace grounds. Yura had given him new clothes, simple but expensive robes, in dark colors that marked him as her property. Not her equal. Her property. It was important, she explained, that everyone understood his position from the beginning. Stay close to me, she said as they walked through the massive doors. Do not speak unless spoken to. Do not make eye contact with anyone higher than me in rank. And whatever happens, do not show fear. What if I feel fear? Then hide it. Fear is weakness. Weakness invites attack. The throne room was enormous. Hundreds of Silverfang nobles stood in groups, talking in low voices that stopped immediately when Yura entered. Every golden eye turned toward them, every snout lifted to catch their scent. Do-hyun felt like a piece of meat walking into a den of wolves. Which, he realized, was exactly what he was. Princess Yura returns from her coming hunt, announced a voice from somewhere high above. She brings a human? Whispers exploded through the crowd. Do-hyun heard bits and pieces. Hairless thing. What is she thinking? A pet. Disgusting. Yura walked through them all with her head high. Do-hyun followed, keeping his eyes forward, trying not to look at the teeth and claws on every side. At the end of the throne room sat an enormous Silverfang on a throne of frozen crystal. His fur was white with age, and his eyes were deep gold, almost bronze. A crown of silver rested on his head. Father, Yura said, kneeling before the throne. She pulled Do-hyun down beside her. My daughter. The emperor's voice was deep and cold. You have completed your hunt? Yes, father. I killed an ice serpent with my hunting partner. Your hunting partner. The emperor looked at Do-hyun with an expression that was impossible to read. This human? His name is Kang Do-hyun. He is from the human colony world of New Busan. He struck the killing blow against the serpent. According to the old laws, that makes him worthy. Worthy of what? I have chosen him as my consort. The throne room erupted. Nobles shouted. Guards gripped their weapons. Somewhere, a female Silverfang screamed in rage. The Emperor raised one massive paw, and silence fell instantly. You choose a human, a species we have never allied with, never traded with, never conquered as your royal consort. I do. Why? Yura stood slowly. Because I am tired of games, father. Every noble male in this room wants to marry me for power. They want my throne, my armies, my influence. This human wants none of those things. He wants only to provide for his family. He is honest and brave, and he will not scheme against me. He is weak, someone shouted from the crowd. He killed an ice serpent with a broken metal beam while his ribs were cracked and his oxygen was running out. Yura shot back. Which of you noble idiots can say the same? More murmuring. Do-hyun kept his head down, trying to make himself invisible. The Emperor studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, he smiled. Very well, daughter. If this is your choice, I will honor it. But know this. His eyes fixed on Do-hyun with terrible intensity. If this human shames our house in any way, I will kill him myself. He will not shame us, Yura said. We will see. The wedding was held 3 days later. It was a simple ceremony by Silverfang standards. Only 500 guests. Only 12 hours of rituals. Only 3 animal sacrifices. Do-hyun understood almost none of it. He stood where Yura told him to stand, repeated the words she taught him, and tried not to faint from exhaustion. When it was over, they were married. The first month was difficult. Do-hyun was assigned quarters near Yura's chambers, nice rooms but small, suitable for a consort of low status. He was given servants who looked at him like he was a strange insect. He was given tutors who taught him the history and customs of the Silverfang with barely hidden contempt, but he learned. He had always been a fast learner. He learned that the Silverfang Empire controlled 40 star systems. He learned that they valued strength above all else. Strength of body, strength of will, strength of character. He learned that weakness was punished, and failure was not forgiven. He also learned that not everyone accepted his marriage to Yura. Lord Tegan came to his quarters on the second week. He was a massive Silverfang with dark gray fur and eyes like burning copper. He was Yura's cousin, Do-hyun learned. And fourth in line for the throne. If anything happened to Yura, Tegan moved up in succession. So you are the human, Tegan said, walking uninvited into Do-hyun's rooms. The hairless thing my cousin chose to embarrass our family. Lord Tegan, Do-hyun said carefully. I was not expecting visitors. No. I imagine not. Tegan circled him slowly, like a predator examining prey. Tell me, human, what do you think will happen when my cousin grows tired of you? When this joke stops being funny? I do not know. I will tell you what will happen. You will have an accident. A fall from a high place, perhaps. Or you will eat something that does not agree with your weak human stomach. These things happen in the palace, especially to those who do not belong here. Do-hyun met his eyes. It was a mistake, according to everything Yura had taught him. But he could not help himself. Is that a threat, Lord Tegan? Tegan laughed. A threat? No. Human. It is a promise. You are nothing. You have nothing. And soon, you will be nothing but a memory that we will all try to forget. He left without another word. That night, Do-hyun told Yura about the visit. Tegan is ambitious and stupid, she said. A dangerous combination. But he will not act openly against you. That would be seen as moving against me. And if he acts secretly? Yura smiled. Then I will tear out his throat and feed it to his own hounds. He knows this. You cannot protect me every moment. No, she admitted. That is why you must protect yourself. Learn the palace. Learn the people. Find allies where you can. You are not without value, Do-hyun. You are strange and new and interesting. Some nobles will want to study you. Some will want to use you against me. Some may even genuinely want to know you. And how do I tell the difference? You cannot. Not at first. Trust no one completely. Not even me. Do-hyun spent the next weeks exploring. He walked the halls of the palace, memorizing every corridor and staircase. He attended formal dinners and sat quietly in his low-status seat, watching the nobles talk and scheme. He listened to servants gossip when they thought he could not hear. Slowly, he began to understand. The court was a battleground. Every smile hid a knife. Every compliment carried poison. The Silverfang were warriors, yes, but they fought with words and alliances as much as with claws. And Do-hyun, to his surprise, was not bad at this game. He was quiet. He was patient. He watched and listened and remembered. He noticed which nobles hated each other, which ones were sleeping together, which ones were secretly poor or secretly sick or secretly in debt. Information was power. And Do-hyun was collecting a lot of information. One night, a young noble named Hana approached him at a dinner. "You are the human," she said. Her fur was pale gold, and her eyes were kind. "I am. I have heard that humans have a custom of storytelling, that you share tales around fires at night. Is this true?" Do-hyun blinked. It was the first time anyone at court had asked him about human culture. "Yes," he said. "We have many stories. Will you tell me one? I am curious about your people." He looked at her carefully. Was this a trick? A trap? But her expression seemed genuine. "Perhaps another time," he said. "If the princess permits it." Hana smiled. "I look forward to it, human Do-hyun." It was a small thing, but it was a start. Meanwhile, Do-hyun sent messages to his daughters every week. He could not tell them everything, the situation was too complicated. But he told them he was safe. He told them he was working for an important person. He told them he loved them and missed them. The credits he had been promised were transferred to his mother's account. She had written back, confused and worried. He had reassured her as best he could. His daughters were eating well. They were going to a good school now. They had new clothes and new toys. It was worth it, Do-hyun told himself. Whatever happened here, it was worth it. But as the weeks passed, he began to realize something troubling. He was starting to care about this place. About the politics and the people. About Yura, who was fierce and proud and surprisingly lonely. And that caring made him vulnerable. Because in the Silverfang court, caring about anything was the most dangerous weakness of all. The attack came on a night without moons. Do-hyun was walking through the lower gardens when he heard footsteps behind him. He turned just in time to see 3 masked figures rushing toward him with blades drawn. He ran. He was not fast, not compared to Silverfang, but he knew the palace now. Every corridor, every shortcut, every hiding place. He ducked through a servant's passage and emerged near the royal quarters. If he could reach Yura's chambers, he would be safe, but the assassins were faster. One of them caught up and slashed at his back. Pain exploded across his shoulder blades. He stumbled, but did not fall. "Yura!" he screamed. "Yura!" A door burst open. Yura emerged in her nightclothes, a blade already in her hand. Her eyes burned with golden fire. "Down!" she commanded. Do-hyun dropped flat. Yura's blade whistled over his head and cut through the first assassin's throat in a single motion. The body fell beside him, blood spraying across the stone floor. The other 2 assassins hesitated. That was their mistake. Yura moved like water, fast and fluid and impossible to predict. She dodged one blade, caught another with her claws, and drove her own sword through a second assassin's chest. The third tried to run. She caught him by the neck and slammed him against the wall. "Who sent you?" she snarled. The assassin laughed through bloody teeth. "You know who. Say his name. Lord Tegan sends his regards." The assassin bit down on something in his mouth. Poison. He was dead within seconds. Yura dropped the body and turned to Do-hyun. "You are hurt." "It's not deep," he said, though he was not sure if that was true. His back felt like it was on fire. She helped him up and examined the wound. Her expression grew dark. This was my fault. I should have assigned guards to you. You said Tegan would not act openly. This is not open. These assassins are from outside the Empire. Hired killers with no traceable connection. Tegan is smarter than I thought. She turned toward her chambers. Come, we need to tend your wound. And then we need to plan. Inside her rooms, Yura cleaned and bandaged Do-hyun's back with careful hands. Her touch was surprisingly gentle for someone with such sharp claws. I am sorry, she said quietly. For what? For bringing you into this. For putting your life in danger. You came here to save your daughters, and now you may die because of my family's politics. Do-hyun turned to face her. I knew the risk when I agreed. Did you? Did you really understand what you were walking into? No, he admitted. But I understood that my daughters needed me to do something. This was the only something I could do. Yura looked at him with an expression he had never seen before. Something soft, something vulnerable. Why do you care about them so much? She asked. Your daughters. You speak of them constantly. You work for them. Suffer for them. Almost died for them. Why? Because they are my children. That is not an answer. Silverfang royals send their children away to be trained. We see them once a year, if that. Attachment is seen as weakness. Do-hyun thought about how to explain something that had no explanation. How do you describe love to someone who has never felt it? When my wife died, he said slowly, I thought I would die too. The pain was so great that I could not breathe. I could not eat. I could not sleep. For 3 days, I lay in bed and wished I was dead. Yura listened in silence, but then Nari came to me. My older daughter, she was only 5 years old. She climbed into bed with me and put her small hand on my face, and she said, Appa, please do not be sad. I will take care of you now. His voice cracked. He had never told this story to anyone. In that moment, I realized that I could not give up, because those 2 little girls needed me. I was all they had left. And if I gave up, they would be alone in a universe that does not care about small, helpless things. He met Yura's eyes. That is why I care about them. Because they are mine to protect. Because their lives are worth more than my comfort, my safety, my happiness. Because being their father is the only thing I have ever done that matters. Yura was quiet for a long time. I have never heard anyone speak like this, she said finally. Not about children. Not about anything. Known. 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 Not about anything. It is how humans are. Most of us, anyway. We love fiercely. We protect desperately. It is why we keep fighting even when we cannot win, because the people we love are counting on us. Even when it is hopeless? Especially when it is hopeless. Yura looked at him with new eyes. Eyes that saw not a weak human or a political tool, but something else entirely. I was wrong about you, she said. I thought you were a clever solution to a political problem. But you are something more. Something I do not have a word for. Is that good or bad? I do not know yet. The confrontation with Tegan happened 3 days later. Yura demanded a formal hearing before the Emperor, presenting evidence of the assassination attempt. Tegan denied everything, of course. He was smooth and confident, certain that no proof could connect him to the attack. But Do-hyun had not been idle. In his months at court, he had gathered information. He had listened to servants and watched nobles. He knew secrets that Tegan thought were buried forever. When Yura called him to speak, Do-hyun presented his evidence calmly and clearly. Financial records showing payments to off-world mercenaries. Messages recovered from a servant who Tegan thought was loyal. A witness, Lady Hana, who had seen Tegan meeting with strange figures in the lower gardens. The court erupted. Tegan's face went pale with shock and rage. You dare accuse me? He roared. You are nothing. A hairless pet. A joke. I am Yura's consort, Do-hyun said, his voice steady. And I protect what is mine. Tegan lunged at him. What happened next surprised everyone, including Do-hyun himself. He did not run. He did not freeze. Instead, He stepped sideways, a movement Yura had taught him, and let Tegan's momentum carry him past. Then he grabbed a ceremonial spear from a nearby guard and put himself between Tegan and Yura. "Stay back," he said. His voice shook, but his hands did not. The whole court stared. A human, standing against a Silverfang lord, protecting a princess who needed no protection. It was absurd. It was stupid. It went against everything the Silverfang believed about weakness and strength, and it was the bravest thing any of them had ever seen. The Emperor stood from his throne. His voice echoed through the silent hall. "Lord Tegan, you have attacked a royal consort in my own court. You have plotted against my daughter. You have brought shame upon your house." He raised one clawed hand. "Guards, take him," Tegan screamed as they dragged him away. "This is not over. The human will pay. You will all pay." But it was over. Everyone knew it. Later, in her private chambers, Yura looked at Do-hyun with wonder. "You could have died. He would have torn you apart." "Yes. Why did you do it? You had already presented the evidence. Your job was done." Do-hyun smiled tiredly. "I told you. I protect what is mine." "I am not yours," Yura said softly. "You are my consort. That makes you my property, not the other way around, maybe by Silverfang law. But where I come from, when you marry someone, you become partners. You protect each other. That is how it works." Yura was quiet for a moment. Then she reached out and took his hand. Her claws were gentle against his skin. "Our contract says 1 cycle. Then you are free to leave with your money and return to your daughters. I know. But I am offering you a choice now. A real choice." Her golden eyes met his. "Stay with me. Not as a political tool. As my true partner. Bring your daughters here. Let them grow up in the palace. With the best education in the empire. Let me—" She hesitated. "Let me try to be what you described. Someone who loves fiercely. Someone who protects desperately." Do-hyun thought about New Busan. The rain, the poverty, the struggle. He thought about his daughters growing up there, fighting for scraps in a world that did not care about them. Then he thought about them here. Safe. Educated. Loved by a princess who was learning how to love. It was not a hard decision. "I will stay," he said. "And I will bring my daughters to the stars." Yura smiled a real smile, warm and bright. "Then welcome to the Silverfang Empire, Kang Do-hyun. Truly welcome." For the first time, she pulled him into an embrace, careful of his still healing wounds. He held her back, feeling her heartbeat against his chest. Outside the window, 1,000,000,000 stars glittered in the darkness. And somewhere among them, 2 little girls were about to get the best surprise of their lives. Their father was coming home. And he was bringing a princess with him, not an ending, a beginning. The first chapter of a new story. Written in the light of distant suns. A story about a broke father who found a fortune, a princess who found a purpose, and 2 little girls who found a family bigger than they ever imagined. Some stories end with happily ever after. This one ended with something better. What happens next? And the answer was, everything.